Hello, I'm Sonia West. Welcome to Sanji Galbat. Today in the studio we have MP Tamara Jansen for Cloverdale, Langley City. She's a lovely person in this community. She's always at every event supporting everyone. It's a pleasure to talk to her. So welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that you taking the time for me.
Yes, of course. We do see you at every event. You're very community focused, which I love. We need that in our politicians. We need that connection. You're making big moves as well.
Yes.
So the family feeling of community, but also, you know, wearing that politician hat and making sure that the things that we need in our lives for them to be the right thing. So that's my segue into Bill 218. So Bill 218, let's talk about Bill C-218.
Right.
What is it?
Okay, so basically a lot of people are not aware of this, but currently the law in Canada allows for someone with solely a mental health issue, an illness, to access MAID. So, and MAID is medical assistance in dying.
Right.
Now, this is actually so controversial that even though it's in the law, they've had to postpone implementing it already twice.
Okay.
So what's happened is we have professionals, so psychiatrists and so forth. They're saying this is a very dangerous thing to do because many people with a mental illness are very vulnerable, and there is no way we can say whether or not their depression or whatever they're suffering from couldn't actually be improved with the right kind of supports, and especially knowing right now how difficult it is to get medical care. If you add on the fact that you're trying to get a psychiatrist, it's very, very, very difficult. So what this bill does is it criminalizes giving someone MAID, medical assistance in dying, if they are solely suffering from a mental illness.
Mental illness, yeah, because I mean the thought of this, just as a layman, not a politician, just as a community person, when someone says to me, you know, if that person that you love is depressed, put them on the list. They can get assistance in dying.
Right.
That is a horrific thought.
Yes, it is. And I think that, again, as I said, the reason why it's been postponed twice already, even though it's already on the books as a law, is because there's alarm bells being rung. And even the United Nations has come out and said that this is ripe for some serious human rights abuses.
Of course.
So I was just absolutely compelled to say we need to stop this. We need to protect those who are most vulnerable. When you're suffering from a mental illness, you need protection, you need support, you need people to come around you, not to offer you an end to your life.
Right. I mean, often we go through tragedies where we feel like, oh, this is the end of my life. We are so devastated by a loss of someone, or it could be a relationship, it could be the loss of a child, it could be anything that triggers that depression. But there is life after that. So why did you choose to introduce this Bill C-218? What does it mean to you personally?
Well, so personally, most people don't know this, but my mom was a psychiatric nurse.
Okay.
And as a kid, she would come home from work and she'd have these wonderful stories of these patients that she was working with. And she just really humanized the challenges people have when they're suffering from a mental illness. So for me, I really need to make sure that those people that are so vulnerable are protected.
Right, absolutely. Interestingly enough, Tamara, my mother was on the other end of that.
Okay.
When I was little, my mom was actually in One South for a while at the hospital in Kamloops.
Really?
And I remember just as a small child going in to visit her. And had MAID been around at that time, I would have grown up without a mother. God bless my mom. I'm grateful that this bill wasn't implemented way back then, and I'm glad you're fighting it now. What are the main risks of allowing MAID for people that have mental illness as their only condition?
Well, I think the experts have put it over and over, the fact that it's impossible. There is no scientific test that we could do to make sure that someone's depression or mental illness is irremediable. And when they first put MAID in, they talked about it would be safe and rare. It was only going to be for people at the end of their life who had an incurable disease. Yes,
like cancer or something that was...
Right, at the very end of their life.
Yeah.
And the challenge we've seen now is this expansion has just exploded, and it's now including people who are not near the end of their death and who we cannot say that their mental illness is irremediable. It's just not possible. So the experts are the ones who have been really calling it out, and I'm very thankful to them for really standing up on behalf of their patients to say this is not a good idea. Even the United Nations, imagine that.
Right. Yep. They're seeing that there's a problem with it. I mean, when it's so readily available, if you will, that's scary. How does this bill help protect vulnerable Canadians who may feel hopeless but could recover with treatment?
Well, it ensures that no medical professional will offer them MAID.
Okay, otherwise they'd go to jail.
Exactly, right? It will actually criminalize the act of euthanizing a person with a mental illness, solely that. So that's number one. What I also think it does, while there's no money attached to this, I know people have been saying, well, we would like to see that there's more money put into the supports. I totally agree.
Right.
But what it does is it actually stops normalizing the concept of MAID for someone that's suffering from a mental illness.
Right.
Right now, we also have support from the Indigenous community, and they're saying it's very difficult for them when they're struggling with a youth issue of suicide.
Yeah.
To convince them, when we're normalizing MAID on, assisted suicide on one end,
Wow.
how do we convince them that their lives are worth living? It's such a mixed message, and the Indigenous community is saying, we need to not normalize it. We need to make sure that we're focusing on support and around those issues.
It's interesting because where is the line between personal versus government?
Yes.
So that's a terrifying thought, that your child, who you want to protect from suicide, youth suicide you mentioned in the community, that child could then say, you know what, I want to do what I want to do, and go to the government and get this assistance, and then the parents are grieving their loved one.
Right. So again, this is part of the discussion. Unfortunately, when this all went to committee, which it does, there were people that were pushing for what they call mature minors to be allowed to also request assisted suicide.
What is that? What is mature minor? How old would that be,
well,
roughly?
I mean, that will be, in the end, up to a doctor.
Oh, wow.
Right? A doctor could decide something along those lines. So I think it's very, it's so subjective.
Yeah.
And we as parents are very concerned for those who are vulnerable children.
Yeah.
And so I think the clearest thing right now is, specifically with this bill, those with mental illness solely should not be euthanized.
Right.
And that's what this bill will tackle. And then I think it will make sure that we are working towards supports.
Right.
Yeah.
So, question for you.
Yes.
If somebody said to you, well, MP Jansen, my body, my choice.
Right.
That's being thrown out there all the time these days.
Right.
If the person says to you, this is my personal choice.
Right.
I want to do this. Why should it be up to the government to say, no, we're not going to allow this anymore, if that's what your stance is?
Right. Well, so I think the challenge is, can someone who is solely suffering from a mental illness really make the decision?
Right.
Because we cannot prove whether or not they are going to actually be able to recover. I think we need to really also focus on the fact that the way it is right now, with the way the bill, when the law comes into force, you will have a 90-day delay. You make a request and you will have given 90 days to think about it.
That's how it's going to be, or that's how it is?
Well, that's the way the law is written, but because we've had to stop it, because the experts have said this is too dangerous.
Okay.
So it's what they call the 90-day track, second track.
Right.
They say, well, that's enough time for you to really think about it. Someone suffering from depression, in 90 days, can you even get a proper psychiatric program in place?
Yeah.
So we're looking at a system in which we are already lacking in supports.
Right.
And then we're offering this within 90 days.
It makes me think of, and I'm not trying to trivialize this, but it kind of sounds ridiculous. It sounds like buyer's remorse. When you go to the store and you think, oh, I don't really want that, and you've got 30 days to return your item and get your money back.
Right.
This is life and death.
And I think that's the message I've been trying to repeat, is death is irreversible.
That's right.
If we make a mistake,
Yep.
because someone could have recovered, but we weren't able to test for that, to be absolutely confident that there's no way this person could recover,
Right.
that would be an irreversible mistake. The other thing that I've been hearing, and I totally sympathize, if you're bipolar or you have schizophrenia,
Right.
you may never be cured, if you want to put it that way, but you can flourish with the right supports,
Yes.
with the right care. There are so many people out there that are flourishing, and we want to talk about flourishing. We don't want to talk about, well, we can end your life.
Right.
Flourishing is difficult.
Yes.
Right? Getting there is not easy.
Right.
But let's put our backs behind it, because we love these people. They are worth all that effort.
That, there's a lost art of just sitting down with a friend and having a conversation. We don't do that anymore.
That's right.
We're on our phones, we're busy, you know, we're so busy,
right.
but we don't take the time to stop and talk to each other. Maybe that's one of the problems, is that people just don't have that connection.
But I think it's also a bit of a taboo subject, right?
Yeah.
You know, there are some people that really struggle to even broach the idea that perhaps they're having a mental challenge. And some of these things could happen in the background. Your family may not even know you've requested this.
True.
Which is very, for me, it's very scary.
Right.
I don't know if you're aware, but my colleague who seconded the bill, his name is Andrew Lawton.
Okay.
He actually just put out his story about 15 years ago that he was suicidal and very determined. Yeah. And he actually, I think he said he was in hospital for 3 weeks or something in a coma. Wow. Yeah. So he just actually put out a video with his story, sharing his story, and he's encouraging other people to actually share their stories as well. Because I find when you share your story, it does give people courage to, you know, get past that barrier. Oh, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed. Right. And then, you know, put yourself in a position where maybe you can get some help.
Yes, and you're helping others.
And you're helping others.
By fixing that, you know, that stereotype, that taboo, that, oh my gosh, that person suffers from depression.
Right.
It's okay, but let's do something about it.
Exactly.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What type of feedback have you been given by maybe people that are mental health experts or survivors?
Well, we've had excellent feedback. We have a lot of great support. A bunch of different organizations have been supporting us. So I have a list. It's a good list, and it's a growing list. Okay. So Physicians Together with Vulnerable Canadians, Indigenous Disability Canada, Inclusion Canada, Pakistani Canadian Cultural Association, Baitul Mukarram Islamic Society. Yeah. This is an issue that affects everybody. Yes. And this bill, I mean, this is an ask that I have of people. This bill is I'm going to need cross-party support. Of course. I cannot win this particular battle without support from all the different people that are sitting in Parliament. Right. So my ask is that people that are listening, if they're concerned about this and they support this bill, would actually go out and talk to their own MP. Right. And ask them to please support this bill. Because what we expect is that in, I think, end of November, beginning of December-ish, we should have a debate. And then following that debate, it won't be a long debate, but because it's a private member's bill, we will need to have a vote. Right. And I need to get everybody on board. Okay, so people would need to contact their MP where they live. Exactly. So I'm in your riding. Okay, so okay. We're good. I've contacted you. That's right, yeah. You take it from here. Okay, okay, good. But all the other areas, if they contact their MP and say, you know, this bill C-218 is something I want to stand behind, can you do something? Yes. That's what they need to do. Yes, so Sukh Dhaliwal, Randeep Sarai, you know, give them a little nudge, ask them, hey, you know. You know what I actually love? I love the fact that, so I'm in media, so I'm impartial. I can't say who I align with politically, right? But I do align with humanity, right? Everyone does, absolutely. The fact that your message is not about, you know, the Conservative Party or the Liberal Party or the NDP. Are they still around? I'm not sure. There's a lot going on there. But the fact that this is not about politics. This is about saving a life, right? And giving people a chance to improve their lives. Yeah. And doing that as a community. We started the show just talking about how you're so community focused, and there it is, full circle. You really are with this bill. So we will talk to the MPs in all of our areas, and I'll make sure that our viewers know that they should do that. We'll talk to them in Punjabi as well and translate this as well. Wonderful. If this bill is passed, how will that impact Canada's mental health system and suicide prevention efforts? Well, as I mentioned, it will return the focus to support, right? Because when you put MAID into the mix, it becomes one of the treatments. Right. And if we can, it's not a treatment. Wow. Yeah. So we want to turn it around and we say, no, we need to support and we need to make sure that those services are available in a timely fashion. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but we are seeing more and more stories of people who have requested and been given MAID for some very terrible reasons. Veterans have been approached. And they are looking for services. They can't get those services, and those veterans have been given, you know, the option of MAID. So it wasn't that they were looking for it; it was suggested to them. Yes, yes. That's scary. Yeah. There's a Paralympian. Yeah. She was looking to get a ramp into her house, and she could not get it. She was working, you know, to get that, and they said, "But we can offer you MAID." And this is the challenge we have. If MAID becomes this concept of a treatment, we stop looking for solutions that would actually improve people's lives and help them flourish.
Yes. Wow, that's shocking to me that somebody wanted a ramp to make their life easier.
Right.
And they're like, the easiest solution is to just end your life.
Yeah. And you know what the beautiful thing is that story did get out into the media.
Yeah.
And a community group raised the funds and got her that ramp.
Oh, that's all she needed was the ramp.
She was looking for the ramp to get,
goodness.
to get better access into her home. And to think that, we can despair. And we know people that are despair because they can't get a living quarters or they can't get a specialized wheelchair.
Right.
Let's all stand up and say, we're not going to offer MAID. We're going to actually offer help.
Right, because I'm sure that MAID, it involves staff. When they're doing the procedure, we'll call it that.
Right.
That's a euphemism right there.
Right.
It's a procedure. The staff has to be paid. The machines that they're using, whatever the process is, it's all going to cost them money. So alternatively, if they provide counseling or they provide a ramp or something like that, that's going to be money better spent than on the
I think the fact that people can be in despair and not be able to access services. And I think we see that then, especially with this concept of MAID for someone solely with a mental health challenge.
Right.
And that's why, we need to stop this right here. We need to say, no, we don't accept that. Let's look at what's happening and let's give hope. Let's give services. Let's help, bring the community together around people that are suffering.
Right, protect life.
Yeah.
So when we've talked about, the veterans being offered and then the girl that wanted the ramp, what about people that wanted to have MAID, didn't get MAID, and now are grateful that they didn't get MAID? Have you come across some people like that?
Well, we have. I can't instantly tell you a story that I'm recalling right now, but I can tell you that there is a story right now, and this young woman actually came to our press conference. Her name is Alicia Duncan. It's actually a very sad story.
Okay.
Her mom was also a psychiatric nurse, so very smart.
Okay.
She had suffered a car accident, and that seems to have caused some sort of a decline in her mental health. And it happened during COVID. She had a really hard time accessing help. And so she attempted, she couldn't get something that she was hoping would help her. Okay. And so she attempted suicide. They put her in the psychiatric ward to try and help her. And within a very short time, because she was already quite sick from, I think she was suffering from anorexia.
Okay.
They actually did give her MAID, and the girls were only given 48 hours and she's like, she had just survived a suicide attempt, and they gave her MAID. And so these things, this is in Abbotsford. These things are happening.
So she died.
And she passed away. Wow. Yeah. So if you're looking, if you want to find out more about that story, it's on my social media. Yeah. I think we're trying to call attention to the fact that we need to offer services.
Yes.
We need to wrap people around with care.
Yeah.
And we can't do that if we've ended their life already.
That is devastating. As a mother, I think about my child and all of our viewers that are watching right now. They all have children, and someone that they love. And to imagine a child saying, I'm struggling with my body image.
Right.
I've become anorexic. I have mental health issues. Try to take my life. And instead of getting a helping hand, it's like, well, you didn't finish the job. Let us help you with that. Like that's deplorable.
It's a real challenge. So this bill is a very important, I think, step in saying we need to make sure that we can protect those who are suffering solely from a mental health challenge.
Right.
Because they're not ill. They're not suffering from cancer. They are simply struggling with a mental health challenge, and that is clear-cut, impossible to know whether they could recover. And so therefore we wanted to bring this bill in as fast as we could.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. As I said, and I keep saying, thank you for always fighting for the community and humankind, and not just politically, but you're doing it from your heart, and we really appreciate that. I know there's a lot of things to discuss with Bill C-218, so I do want you to give a message to our viewers.
Okay.
You can tell them whatever you want to tell them, however you want to plead to them to talk to their MPs or whatever you want to say. You can look right in that camera over there.
Okay, well, so this bill is very much to help those who are struggling with a mental health challenge. And so I ask you if you could reach out to your local member of parliament and let them know how concerned you are and that you do support this bill and you would like to see them support this bill so that we can ensure that those who are solely struggling with a mental illness cannot have their lives ended with a government sanction. So please do talk to your local MP. I know there are some amazing people out there. I do get to meet them at the different events, and I'm very thankful for the work that they're doing in the community as well. And this is my plea, that you let them know that we are here to offer hope and help. So that's my plea.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that message and bringing this bill forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that was today's program. उम्मीद है ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਸੰਦ ਆਇਆ। ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਾਈਫ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਨਸਿਕ ਸਿਹਤ ਤੋਂ ਸਫਰ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਲਾਈਫ ਐਂਡ ਕਰਨੀ, ਉਹ ਆਨਸਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ। ਸੋ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ MP ਟੈਮਰਾ ਜੈਨਸਨ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਿੱਲ C-218 ਆ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰੋ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ MP ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਬਿੱਲ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਆ, ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਾਪੇ ਨੂੰ, ਕੋਈ ਦੋਸਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਹੂਐਵਰ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਾਈਫ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਟ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹ ਬਿੱਲ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ, ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਮਾਨਸਿਕ ਸਿਹਤ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਖੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੋਨੀਆ ਵੈਸਟ, ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਫॉर ਵਾਚਿੰਗ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।